Well, hello everybody. I'm Sarah, the Real Simple Mama, and we have moved. Oh my gosh. So it's now Sunday. We moved on Friday, so my poor pissed off girls have been in there for a couple of days. But today is the day we're going to move them. So really quick, I'm going to just update you on what happened with the move, how the chickens have been doing, and then what I plan on doing with this gorgeous project. The research that I've done as far as cleaning, the products that I'm going to use, all of that stuff. I'm not endorsed by anybody. Nobody pays me anything, so I just do what I want. So I have 5 chickens in this innovation pet coop. Remember, this is the coop that they advertised is good for 6 birds, right? So mine are, of course, very angry. They've destroyed the grass, of course. We've gotten like a ridiculous random cold front here. It's the end of March in South Texas, and it's like not even 50 degrees right now, so we are very cold. My chickens, I will say though, interestingly, even though they were in a box for probably 45 minutes the day that we moved, and during that 45 minutes they had no food and no water, they have not slowed down on their laying at all. Calypso, almost as soon as I let her out, within 10 minutes she had laid an egg. She was like, oh my god, I gotta go. And I've gotten 3 or 4 eggs on Friday and 3 or 4 eggs on Saturday out of 5 birds. So with the quick move, with me getting them food and water as quickly as possible, there was no there was no slowdown, there was no break in the laying, so that was great. When we moved this coop, and I have another video of moving with chickens just so you can see like as we were moving and how our movers took the coop for us and stuff. All I did to move this coop was that I obviously the predator proofing that goes around, that was all taken off. I cleaned all of the bedding, all of the PDZ. Obviously, I dumped all of that out. You don't want that flying everywhere. And then we did choose to go ahead and take the ramp bar. We went ahead and took that off. This one is mounted with just 2 screws, so it's very quick, very easy. But we took that off just so, if it wasn't sitting exactly flush, we didn't want that to bust off. But other than that, I mean, it took 3 or 4 guys to lift this thing up. But I mean, other than that, it transported perfectly fine. So for, about $200, that's a really great coop. All right, so the girls were absolutely fine. None of them are sick. They're not having any kind of issues, and they kept laying. So for this coop, good grief. Okay, so there are, in my opinion, a couple of different steps of what you should do. This is sort of, I know, a unique situation. It's like if you've inherited a coop. Somebody gave you a coop, you're bringing new birds into a new place, or, you're putting your chickens on virgin ground, or whatever. So there were chickens living in here at some point. I'm hoping I'll kind of learn like the history of this place, because somebody years ago really loved this yard. I mean, it was landscaped everywhere. There is the weed guard like everywhere. Like somebody spent a ton of money and a ton of time on this yard. I don't know if it's the landlords or I don't know who it was. But anyway, so I don't know what kinds of birds were in here or how long ago it was. I'm assuming it was chickens, but I mean, people around here keep pigeons and doves and bald eagles, I don't know, like all kinds of weird stuff, so who knows. So there's a couple of different levels of things that I've got to do to get it safe and functional for the girls. So let me tell you, let us go in, shall we, because I can actually walk in it now. And I sent my husband on a Home Depot run this morning. So we've got all of the stuff that we need. So level 1 is I'm going to do all of the cleaning and the scrubbing and the spraying. Number 1, because that to me is the most important thing, and number 2, because it's going to be wet, so it needs to dry. Now, we're talking about, I'm sorry, I'm letting my kids act crazy because number 1, we're sort of a wild family anyway, and I just throw them outside and say, like, go play in the dirt and I'll see you at dinner. But also because they're really, really cold, and my daughter almost had a meltdown because she's cold, so please forgive the screaming. It's what I'm doing so that I can make a video. Ah! Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I have, somewhere in that bucket is a brush that's from the dollar store that's only ever been used for chickens and chicken stuff, okay? And in my previous video when I showed you this coop, I said there are a couple of different options as far as what you want to use to disinfect. Now, when we talk about disinfecting, unless you're bringing in like baby chicks, we don't necessarily have to talk about being completely sterile, all right? Like we're not going to do like an open heart surgery to where there can be like 0 germs. So we don't have to be that freaky, because I mean, let's be real, your chickens live outside and they eat bugs all day. So there's a certain level of, yes, I care and I want to make sure there's no diseases, but at the same time, like, let's not get too ridiculous, because I mean, I don't know, you're eating eggs that come out of their butt, it's kind of like, so let's have a sense of perspective. So the more research that I did on what do I want to use to spray down my coop, I've already done a round of vinegar. I just didn't actually get to like scrub because I didn't have my brushes yet. So I was just going around with the surfaces and just spraying. What's up, girls? So I'm going to do that again with the brush. I'm going to do every surface that the chickens could possibly stand on. So all the way around the bottom here, all of the roosts and ramps. And then, you know, again, anything they're going to touch. So nesting boxes, stuff like that. This is going to be kind of weird because this wood is really old over here. But I'm going to do the best that I can. Again, keeping a sense of perspective. So that's step one. And I'm going to do that as soon as I shut off the camera here because I need it to start drying. As far as what product to use, like I said, I already did a round of vinegar. I was planning on using half bleach and half water, but the more I read about it, the more bleach does not seem like a good idea for any surface that your chickens could be on. Maybe if there was like, you know, plastic or a ground underneath here and I was going to bleach that and then put a ton of material on it, maybe. But the problem was, number one, some people just don't like using bleach around livestock anyway. The other problem is that the bleach can potentially react with the ammonia in chicken poop and cause a whole bunch of problems. So for me, it's like, if there's anybody who has a legit reason why we should not use something, then I don't use it. So I'm not going to use bleach. I did read that you can use Dawn with mixed, you know, diluted with water. I did read that you could use Listerine, but the thing that I keep seeing over and over and over again, like the majority on all of the research that I've done, has been half white vinegar and half water. So I'm just going with that. As far as, you know, so again, all of these, I'm going to take out all the trash. I have a rake. I'm going to scrape all of this stuff out. I'm going to spray the hell out of everything, and I'm going to scrub. Oh, I'm going to scrub what I can scrub with that brush and with the white vinegar and water and let that dry. So once I feel like the vinegar and stuff is dry, and honestly, vinegar, yeah, it kind of smells gross, but the smell and the fumes are not dangerous to your chickens. So it's not like they have to stay away while it's drying. So honestly, I can put them in, you know, before the vinegar is completely dry. The next step is I've got to get fresh bedding and everything. This is going to be where the roost is, you know, where they're roosting. So this is the zone down below. Right now it's going to be a very thin layer of PDZ until I can go and get more. And then of course pine in the nesting boxes. There was hay or straw in there. I don't like using long pieces of anything because if my chickens try to slurp it up like, you know, Lady and the Tramp style with spaghetti, it can get clogged up in their crop, and I don't want to deal with impacted crop or sour crop. So I never give them anything that's longer than a couple of inches. You know, grass clippings, anything like that. It just makes me nervous. So I'm obviously going to clean out all the old bedding and put pine in there. I don't know if my chickens are going to know what to do with that nesting box. They've only ever used one or two anyway, you know, and it's like, get off the pot, it's my turn type situation. But I'll prep this one as well, again, after it's been scrubbed. So PDZ down under here, after it's been cleaned, of course. Pine in there. This has all got to be scrubbed. And then from there, I've got other stuff that I want to do with this coop. So let me, now that I actually have the stuff I want to use, where is it? There it is. So this is like the thickest, most durable plastic sheeting that you can buy. And you can see, I mean, it's only, I don't know, maybe 1.5 feet tall. But essentially what I'm going to do is staple gun it all the way around the exterior, well, the interior of the exterior walls, if that makes sense. So like I'm going to do it on this side, all the way around here, anywhere where there's hardware cloth and there's like the outside, because I'm gonna have, you could see this is like, you know, sand, gravel. I mean, this is all pretty fine right here, which I like. And I'm hoping, because this is covered and because there's a lot of trees, that even if it rains, this ground in here is not going to get that wet, because holy crap, that would be like a disaster, like just muddy, nasty mess. I had wanted to buy pavers sand to put in here, but I was doing more research, and that stuff will just get like muddy and gross, and you don't want anything that's got any like mortar component or anything in it. So we got I'm trying to remember what they called it. We ended up getting you contractors sand is okay because it's thicker pieces and it doesn't have any kind of mortaring agent in it, but essentially I want to try to protect this so that it doesn't get wet. And then I don't want my chickens to be like dust bathing around in here and they kick it all out, and I'm constantly having to like, you know, fill it up, because this is a huge ass space. You know, this is probably 5 feet across. Like, that's probably 5 feet right there. I don't know. I'm 5 feet tall, so everything looks like it's 5 feet to me. And then this is, you know, at least double that, at least 10 feet across, probably 12 or 14. So, I mean, that's a hell of a lot of space, you know, and I don't want to be spending $500 just to put, you know, $500 for dirt that my chickens are just going to kick out all over the place. So what I'm going to do, and that doesn't have to be done today, like the girls can live in here for a couple of days, and then as I can, I'll come in and just take that and cut it to size. But I mean, that's the perfect height. So all I have to do is, you know, cut a piece, cut right there. And I'm just going to go chink, 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 and staple the hell out of it, because that never will have to be replaced. I'll show you what it looks like. You know, and we were assured by the Home Depot guy that this is, you know, the thickest sheeting that they have. So it's called clear plastic sheeting. It's not a tarp. But the 6 milliliter is the thickest that they've got. And he said, I mean, it should stand up to weathering, and obviously it's just plastic, so it's totally cool if it gets wet. It's also clear, so once I put it in around this border, I'm still going to be able to see the chickens in here. But I don't want them to be able to kick out all the material. That was a huge problem, I don't know if you remember, with this chicken coop, and one of the reasons why there's that little border around over there with trash bags, because I was buying dirt in there for them, and then they would kick all of the dirt out, and then it would be like, no. And of course then it would rain and all the water would go in there because they'd kick the dirt out, so that level in there was lower. So it was like, ugh. But then my problem is I also had the bags stapled on the outside, so the dirt was still coming out. My kids are having a total field day in this yard, guys. Like, this is so awesome. So that's the sheeting that I'm using. But look, my girls are gonna have bird baths. Like, I've already hung up a birdhouse. That's trumpet vines, so we have like honeybees and stuff. Like, this is gonna be great. This is their crushed oyster shell. This is more pine. In there you have my PDZ, which looks like cat litter. It's gray, it's very fine, it's clumping. It smells cat litter-ish. It's basically like equine litter. If you haven't seen my other videos about what I use for chicken coop chores and things like that, the only problem is that a bag that size, which it's a decent sized bag, and I have another half open bag over there, but the problem is that bag is like 15 bucks. And so it's, you know, like, that's a huge ass space in there. So, you know, I'm hoping if I keep it clean, I'm not going to have to do like a ton. Like, I'm not going to have it be like, you know, 4 inches thick or anything in there. It's just going to be a thin layer, at least for now, right? Like, I need to get it so that the girls can come live in here, because they're pissed off over there. They're mad. And then I have a treat bar that I bought them and some other things to keep them amused in here for a few more days. The run that we want to build for them that's going to go out and around, honestly, it's what now, the end of March. Today's March 31st. I mean, it's probably going to be May or June before that gets built. So I'm going to have to be buying plants and bringing them treats and, you know, cabbages and heads of lettuce and other things in here to keep them amused. But, you know, they're still outside. There's plenty of ventilation. You know, we're going to get this coop moved out of the way once the girls are moved in, and that way I can see them from the house. So I have a lot of work to do. But that's the plan. So the first thing, you know, like, just getting all of this kind of crap off, making the spaces where they're going to be, making the spaces functional. And if you haven't noticed, this is like super weird. This is just like I don't understand. Am I just dumb and my brain doesn't work and I can't figure this out? Or is the person who built this dumb? So there's the ramp from the ground, right? That goes to the first level. And this is like, God, can they even like get into the nesting boxes? I mean, they'll have to like hop way up. Interesting. Okay, so I've got to like be the chicken, right? Like, get in the mind of the chicken and make sure they can get to what they need to get to. But that gets them up to the first level, but then how do they get up to here? And I'll remind you again, when I did the videos about bumblefoot and stuff, chickens are not supposed to be jumping up and down, particularly down. They're not supposed to be jumping down a large distance. That can give them bumblefoot. They can hurt themselves, especially if you have, you know, bigger birds. So I don't know, how do they get to here? You know, my chickens' wings are clipped, so they're not flying. And then this is how they get up to the multi-level roost bars. I have some other stuff I can potentially bring in here and give them. I have like cement blocks and stuff. Maybe I can build that up, but right now I'm kind of confused. I mean, I may have to just put that bucket upside down here so they can, like, you know, hop up on the nesting boxes, or I don't know. We'll figure it out together. But I'm Sarah. I'm the Real Simple Mama. I have a lot of work to do in here, but hopefully the next video that I show you is going to be us letting the girls out. And as we grab them, I'm going to attempt to do a video showing you how I clip the chicken's wings, and then just looking at chicken feet to see if, you know, if their nails need to be cut or anything like that. Look at that snail shell. Where is it? There it is. Isn't that pretty? All right, so I'm gonna start spraying with vinegar, and I will be back soon.